Hey guys, today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be using Plasticity to model this laser rangefinder that you see on the screen. And I think you should work from references, but in a different way. You know, gather many references and try to work off of design cues to create something original. But if you're starting, it might be a bit difficult. Also, if you're working for clients or studios, you may be occasionally asked, or all the time, to create something that's been made or done by someone else. Like, you get a concept art and you ask, well, listen, model this, right? So then you need to go from references and you need to be very precise. Which again, may teach you, for example, how to maintain proportions, how to work from certain angles, how to imagine in 3D space how this object looks. So it's a good exercise and we might try this. Let me know if you like it in the comments. And also the new thing is a webcam. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I don't mind. Either way, it's fine. It may be helping some people to, stay connected. So what we're going to do is we're going to be, like I said, using Plasticity. Let me just reset this. And if you're new to Plasticity and you don't have it, you can just get a 1 month free trial. It's really fantastic. And if you're coming from Blender, the learning curve is extremely short. I think it took me like 2 days to learn it initially, so it's really quick. And you can set it up to Blender preferences. So you go here to preferences, you go to navigation and just click on Blender, and it's gonna set most of the keystrokes similar to Blender. So for example, if you click on this cube here and press GG, you can move it in space. You can press GZ, GX, GY, it's the same thing. R to rotate, S to scale is literally the same shit, right? And when you, for example, want to move the canvas, you just click middle mouse button to rotate. You can just hold shift and move it. And then if you want to move and change the angle from which you're viewing, so let's say you want to look from the front, from the top, from the side, whatever, you hold Alt, right? Click middle mouse button and simply, just gesture with your mouse, left, right, up, down, right? It's really easy. You can also do it in here, but it's fucking annoying, or use numpad 1, 2, 3, etc. But honestly, just hold Alt and this is so quick, right? It's fantastic. So if you're coming from Blender, again, it's really easy and you should be able to feel at home in 2 seconds. The UI is super simple. You got the Blender collections on the left, so instead of on the right, you have on the left. Don't worry about this, it's really not important. All you need to worry about here, just enable snapping, so you can snap to objects, to verts, to edges, etc. These are construction planes, don't worry about it. These are basically your main tools. And these tools here on the bottom will change depending on which tool you're using. So if I go, for example, to face mode with 3, I'm going to have different tools here, you see what I mean? And don't worry about that. These are basically some operations like booleans, scaling, etc. But we're going to be using shortcuts for this. I never go to this menu, okay? What's important here is on the tops, just like in Blender, 1, 2, 3, it's vert, edge, and face. And then 4, you have for solids, or you can press 5 to be able to select all of them at the same time. So you select the solid first, and then you select edges, verts, or whatever you hover over. Now, I usually just select what I want to select. So if I want to, for example, delete that cube, I press 4 to select solids, click here, press X to delete it, and I'm good to go. Now we're going to be using this reference as a guide, as I said, and we're going to be using curves to do it, okay? Because we need to loft it to create this nice curvature, this nice curvy surface here between these, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to front, and you can see here on the top, it says front, so just use Alt and your middle mouse button to do that. And we're gonna create curves. Now, another thing is that I'm using radial menu, and you can actually enable this yourself. It's really easy. It looks like this. It's kind of like a point menu, and it comes with Plasticity in a way. All you need to do is go to this website here. Just type radial menu Plasticity, and you're gonna land on this link. And these are instructions here how to add it to Plasticity. It's really simple. All you need to do is create this JSON file, simply add the commands, edit them, and simply drag and drop it in here, and you're going to be able to use these. Now I'm going to be telling you what kind of tools I'm using, so you can also find them either here, or you can use the F command to find whatever you're looking for. You can just search here, like for example, move, and you're going to have different commands with shortcuts, okay? You can also add stuff to your favorites by simply right-clicking and either adding shortcut key, just like in Blender, or adding to favorites, the same thing, all right? So this should cover the basics of UI. It's really piss easy, guys. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to create this basic shell. So we have slightly bulging. The shape isn't flat here on sides, it's slightly bulging outside. So it cannot be just, you know, a simple curve. It needs to be slightly curved here on the side as well. And then you got this kind of a curvature on the bottom going up and then down again, and the top is straight, right? Then you got this smooth connection here to this circular element on the front. So it's really easy. Let's go to the front view with Alt and middle mouse button till you see front. And we're gonna grab this tool here, which is curve tool. So click and hold, just like in Photoshop, and select this one, okay? So curved point, control point curve. Or in my case, I'm just gonna go to Shift Q and select it here from the menu because I use it all the time. So I got on the, you know, on the hotkey, and here click, then click here. Then in order to make sure that this point ends on the same plane as this point, hover over here and tap Shift, okay? It's gonna create construction plane here on this side. So, you know, click somewhere here and you're gonna be good to go. Then Alt X to mirror to the other side, just like with hard ups. We need to bridge them in a way that we're gonna have a tangency. So it means that the curvature here is gonna be smoothly transitioning around back to this curve. So select both curves with 2, so press 2, select both curves, right? And then press 1 for verts and drag from the left side to select both of them. And now what you can do, you can either use shortcut Shift B for bridging, which is a little bit difficult to get to, which is why I have it on my my pie menu. So Shift Q and just bridge it. Now you have options here, and these options are G0, G1, G2, and G3. Okay, so what does it mean? G0 is going to be connection. You can use tab to switch between them. The shortest connection between 2 points. G1 is going to be tangent connection, which means we're going to be smoothly transitioning here, but quite rapidly curving around. G2 is going to be more smooth, and G3 is going to be super smooth, okay? So you can choose. Now, I'm going to go with G3 because, you know, why not? But yeah, you can go with G1 if you're fine with that. But I can see that this is pretty curvy, close to a circle, so G3 will do for me. Same here, select these two, Shift Q and bridge, and G3, and you're done with right click. So we got this basic curve. Now remember, you have 3 curves in here, or 4. We may, you know, want to connect them together. So press J to connect them. And you can see here on the left hand side you got curves. If you join them together, it's going to be one curve. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to clone this or duplicate it along this, you know, this x-axis, right? Or y-axis. So now if you look at this shape, we have this chamfer here, which is slightly bigger on all sides. So what we're going to do is grab this curve and Shift D and move it in here. And we're going to press SS to scale it, hold Shift to sort of, you know, slow down the scaling and scale it to maybe this proportion, lattice. And then Shift D one more time and move this curve here, okay? So we have this kind of a height here locked because they're at the same height. And this one gonna have to be rotated, but we're gonna have to rotate it based off of this point. Because if I rotate it like this, it's going to, let me show you, it's going to move the top point lower, okay? And they're not gonna be at the same height anymore. So what we need to do, we need to move the pivot point from the middle to the top. We need to choose this top point as a pivot point. So RV, you can see shortcuts here, V, to move the pivot point up here. And then we need to move this Z-axis. So go to right view and then press Z, and then hold Shift, and you can rotate it on Z-axis to maybe, you know, you can even hold Control for snapping to this maybe angle, and then G and move it here. So it's, you know, shoulder here, but larger here. I think it's too big, a little bit too big. So we could grab both of them, okay, both of these, and SS and scale them just a bit together. So this chamfer here is not too aggressive, okay? Here you can see that it's actually flat and then it starts going up, which means what we need to do is Shift D that somewhere here, right? And then SV pivot point and then Y and scale it in, or you could just press S, V, and just S again to scale it on all axes, right? Let's go to side view, and maybe this is fine, then Shift D, and we're gonna go a bit deeper. So S, V, and S again, and a bit deeper. And then we're going to grab this one and move it in here. So Shift D and move it in here to create this point. And then we got another chamfer going in, so we can grab this one here, and or in fact what we could do is grab this one and Shift D and move it all the way here, and actually make it a bit smaller. You see that this transition is quite rapid. Move it maybe a little bit higher to make it more violent on this side and smoother on this side, okay? Now this is a little bit too large, all of it, so we can grab that and press SY to scale it, to create, you know, slightly narrower shape. What we need to do now is we need to combine them, but if we're going to loft them all together at the same time, it will not go very well, and I'll show you why. You're gonna have this wobbliness all over the place and very smooth transitions everywhere. That's not what we want. What we want is we want this top here to remain flat, so we need to loft these elements first in the middle, so L. So select these curves in succession, then press L for lofting. You can also use this one here on the bottom to loft, it's the same thing. And if you forget command for lofting, just go here, F, type loft, and you're gonna see the shortcut L, okay? Now you can see that we have a sheet, new element. Sheets are kind of like planes in Blender, okay? So they're not closed solids, like solids with holes, so non-manifold solids, okay? So if I press 4 to select this sheet, GG, and I can move it around, you can see the holes. We're gonna be closing them later on. At the moment, don't worry about it. So now what we can do, we can actually grab these curves, we don't need them. You can either delete them, or you can Control G like in Blender, and you can group them here and main shape curves, okay? And you're gonna have a group. You can press this eye icon here, just like in Blender, to turn it off. Now, what we need to do now is we need to loft this one with this one. In order to do that, we need to get rid of all these edges because it's quite too many of them. But it's not gonna work. You see, if I'm going to try to X this, it will not work. You're gonna have still, the shape gonna be divided. Reason being, we simply need these separate sections to create this curvature. So what we might want to do instead here, we might Alt-J this, okay, which will explode this curve into separate curves. So we can go with Alt-J or press, in my case, Shift-Q and simply here unjoin. And then if you see that here, the curve was unjoined and now we have separate curves again. So now what we can do, we can merge these together. So Shift select them both, press L. And what we want here is we want G0, not G1. So press Tab to go to G0 and right click to confirm. Now we're gonna press 4, select this one and this one with Shift, press J to join them. So this is gonna be one sheet. So we can use this edge to guide this loft in terms of curvature. So press 2, select this curve and this edge, press L, and then select this edge as a guide and then press G0, right click to confirm, press 4, select these two and join them. And then we need the one on the bottom, so select this one, L, Shift select this one, press Tab to G0, right click, and we're good to go. So select these two, press J, then we can mirror this. So Alt X, click here and press Q to merge halves together. So press Q and then right click and you see that we have this shape. And you can preview this if you want to. Press Ctrl E to remove all the edges and you can see the shading looks good. You can click here on this kind of a rendered shading and you can see we're peachy, everything is fine. So go back and you can also right click and grab a mud cup just like in Blender. It's the same shit, okay? So it looks really cool. Right click, select this one, we're good to go. Ctrl E to toggle edges. If you want to change the shortcut, go here, toggle edges, you can see Control E for me. So here with this curve, we can just join it and we can move it here to this group. Okay, so we don't need it. Alt click, select this one. You can hold click patch, which will patch this hole. Right click, and you're good to go. And now here we need to combine these two. So let's go here to the back, grab this circle here, and snap the circle to the top of this curve here. If your snapping doesn't work, turn this on. Snap it, draw a circle, and click, and then GZ, drop it down somewhere here. And we need to move this circle away from the shape. Something like this. We can just move it even higher here. Allow that. And we're gonna have to first combine these two. Okay, so 2 for edges, Alt click, Shift click, and then L. And now we want this connection between these two surfaces to be at least G1. I would attempt G2, but we can't, so let's stick with G1. So we're gonna have this natural transition here going into this shape here. And then we're gonna have to combine this circle with this main shape. It's gonna be a bit more tricky, so I'll show you how to do it. Let's move this curve up here so we have a clean scene, and you can also save it. What we need to do is we need to now split this edge here, or this shape and the circle in order to loft it together. Now, there is another way of doing this, but you will need to have experimental alpha version from Studio license, which is $400. Not everyone can afford it, but if you can, you definitely should get it because it's fucking incredible. I'm going to actually move this one a little bit lower so you can see that the connection is going to be a bit smoother. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a edge here that's going to be running across the mesh here. So we can press Ctrl R, just like in Blender, and create a loop like that, okay? And also we can do the same thing here on the bottom. So another loop. And we can mirror this later to the other side. Now with a circle, what we want is we want to create cuts here in the middle. So you can grab this tool here, which is split edge, hover over until it snaps and click. And we're gonna also click here. And then select it and Alt J. And now we have multiple curves. So you can see the curve is split. And then what we want is we want one more in the bottom. So go to the back view and we just have to kind of imagine how this curve would flow. So we can split it somewhere here. Allow this, right? And then Alt J, and we're gonna be fine. So now what we want to do is we want to create edges on this circle. So Alt click this, press E to extrude it like that, and we're gonna have edges. Now what we can do, we can just copy this to Alt X, mirror Q to merge elements together, and right click. And we will need one more probably somewhere here, at least one more, right? I'm thinking like somewhere here maybe. And then Alt X and mirror to the other side. And then we need the same lines on this circle. So I'm guessing this could be a little bit too close, but maybe it's gonna be fine. I think it might be a bit too close. Let's just cut this like that. Press C, click, right click, and press 4. Click on this one and delete it. So now we can just Ctrl R here to more or less align that. Ctrl R somewhere here. I think maybe here, a line here would be better. A bit higher. And we can nuke this one with X. And one more in the middle, right? So, I mean middle, maybe somewhere here. And this one could be actually somewhere here. So nuke this one. Right, so we're gonna connect these two and connect these two. And then we need to mirror this to the other side, okay? So Alt X, mirror to the other side, Q, and confirm. Cool. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna bridge these edges together. So 2 and Shift click, and then go to bridge edge with F, and just type bridge edge, or Shift B, or in my case just this. And you can choose the connection. I mean G2 is fine. in this case. Here, again, G2 is fine-ish, I suppose. And this is gonna be super crazy. So let's see, bridge, and it's gonna be going inwards. So I'm thinking maybe G1. Maybe here G1 should be also fine. Let me see that. G1. I don't know if it's gonna work very well for us. Let's see. Click these both and press L to loft, and then you can select guidelines, so hold shift and select these two. And let's go with G1 and see what happens. You see, like, there's a little bit of craziness here, but let's see. Combine these two and press J. Then select these two and press L. And then select guidelines here. And G2 is fine. G1 is fine. And I think it is fine. So select them both and press J. So we got, this sheet. Now we can check the transitions here. Right click on this option here and select the zebra. Yeah, this is pretty clean, so we're fine. And then here on the top, nuke this one, and we need one more here on the middle. So grab that, select these two edges, and simply Shift Q and bridge it with G1, and then select these two and Shift B, not Shift B, press L, and then hold Shift, click here, G1 is fine, and then select these sheets and join them to. And then the bottom, don't worry about the bottom. We're gonna simply mirror this now. So press Q, press 4, press Alt X, mirror Q, and combine them. And now we're going to press 2, select this entire middle and patch it here with G1, and this should work for us. And this one you can also patch. So 4, select these two, or in fact what you could do is delete this one, and then Alt select this one and patch it, and with G1, right, and you're gonna be fine. So this is how we can patch all this. And let's see now with the matcap how we're looking. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. This is fine. It's going inwards here a bit, but that's cool. I think it's similar here. It's really flat. So let's just see this surface. It's it's not too bad. It's actually pretty decent. How it looks. I think we're good to go. So now this one is a little bit too long. So we're gonna do is Shift A, and we're gonna cut this here. GG to move it. I'm gonna cut it quite close. So C, click, right click, and just delete it. And we're going to simply close it. So Alt click and patch, and G0. And now we have a solid. You see, once we close the sheet, we have a solid, which is quite important. So this is our basic shape, yeah, and we can just save it. And now we can start creating the rest of it. So press 3 and here, and just O for offset it in just a little bit. Right click, select this face and move it inwards. Not too much, just a little bit. And then press 2, and we're gonna select this inner piece here and create a bevel. You just, to the left it's gonna be bevel, to the right it's gonna be a chamfer, or the other way around. Basically negative value is chamfer, positive value is a fillet. You can select these two as well together with Shift and Alt, right? And you can bevel these just a little bit. Now, if you are not sure whether you're going to be keeping the shape, I would not recommend beveling everything, but you can also remove bevels very easily. So here in the front we need circles. Now if you don't want to have this see-through, because you can see we have X-ray on, just press Alt Z, just like in Blender, right? Or just click here, select a circle here, and we're going to draw a circle in here, and then just let's drop it down, G, Z, and make it smaller, so SS, and make it smaller. I think this is gonna be cool, and we can move this one, here to the front, and then Shift D and move it down, or you could just mirror this across the x-axis like this. This will work as well, but actually the bottom is shorter, so the mirroring will not work. It's not symmetrical. And then what we're gonna do, select them both with Alt and Shift I, and to imprint it on this mesh. Now we don't want them to go through, so you wanna click this hard occlusion, all right? And then we can nuke these two curves. Now we can select these two here with Shift and just simply move them in a little bit, and then press O for offset like that. Hold Shift to to slow it down. One more time. Okay, select these two and then Shift D, and then simply offset them here, and then we can create lenses, like that. We can actually move them a little bit forward, so Plasticity will move bevels with your mesh, which is fantastic. These two, we can just select them and create some chamfers. So press 2, select these two edges, and create chamfers, and more or less we're good to go. And on this side, we need to create this viewfinder. So 3. Let's just press E for extrusion and extrusion here. We can press B for separate mesh, because when you're going to be texturing later in Blender, you want multiple meshes. So now here you can see that we got some tiny elements on that. Also, this is a little bit larger. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a chamfer here, and maybe a bevel here, and we're going to also run a bevel here, and then press 3, offset it, all right, and then move it in. Make it soft here because it's your sticky line here. Press 3, offset it, and 3, Shift D, and then extrude it a bit, press 2, and create a bevel, right? And we're good to go. And then we need to create these tiny bits. So this is very easy. Just grab a cube here, go to the middle of the shape, whichever it is. It should be snapping here. Interesting. Let me just run Ctrl R in here to create a edge in the middle, which is here. And then we can snap this to the middle of this edge. There we go. You press C to draw from all sides and create something like this. It's gonna be a little bit crazy. It's a bit like in the cutters in hard ups. They just go fucking mental. And press B for separate body, otherwise you're gonna be bullioning these, okay? And then we're gonna scale it, so SS to scale it to something really tiny like that, right? And we're going to create bevels on this one, like this, okay? And we're gonna create bevels on this one, all right? We can actually start the bevel and copy the bevel size from here. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move it here, okay? And we're gonna grab this rectangular array and simply click somewhere here and increase the number to like, I don't know, 14 or something. I think this will do. And then we're going to simply move it in. So G and X, move it in, like that. And then we're going to use a radial array to rotate it around the middle of this and create, I don't know, 25 of them or something. Or, okay, let's go with 80. And there you go. And you got yourself a shape. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to boolean this together, because honestly it's going to be a nightmare. So what I would suggest doing is actually moving them to a separate collection, okay? And the way I did that is I simply pressed 4, I selected all the shapes, Control click this dial here, or you can select all of them and move them to a folder. So Control G, right, to create a folder, title it, and all of this is going to be moved to a folder. So I'm going to actually move this one as well. So I'm just going to move it in here. And then what you can do, you can import this to Blender Live. So you can create Blender Bridge. You simply go to the GitHub website and just type in Google Plasticity Bridge for Blender and download this zip and install it as an add-on for Blender. And when you open Blender, you're gonna have to link your Plasticity to your add-on. Okay, you're gonna have to select a port, which means you will need to go to Preferences and go to server, and you see there's a port here. And what you need to do is when you open Blender, once you install the add-on, you simply connect it here to this port and you refresh it. And when you do, you will see your model here. And if you click on live link, in addition to that, you're gonna be able to see live changes. So if I, for example, move this entire thing to the front here, right, I'll be able to see this update taking place live in Blender. It takes seconds. So it's really very convenient, and you don't have to, you don't have to export mesh anymore, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to separate this piece, the front piece, from the shell, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two, press Ctrl, Shift, and plus on the numpad to expand the selection. Actually, these are separate pieces, so let me just hide them for a second. So press 4, select these two and hide them. Press 3 on these faces and Shift Ctrl plus on numpad to expand selection. There we go. Well, I'm going to Shift D that to duplicate it, hide it, and I'm going to do the same thing again. But this time I'm going to Shift Exit to delete it and Alt H. And all I need to do now is hide the curves. So now I got two separate pieces, and I'm going to patch this one. So I'm going to select this one, and can I patch it? No. Alright, so let's just go to local view with period on the numpad. And I cannot patch it because this one is protruding. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it in, okay, like this, right? Then alt click here and then patch it. There we go. And then grab this one here and simply patch it, which was going to create a face here. And it's going to change it into a solid. And then we're going to press 2 and select this edge here and bevel it a little bit. So B and bevel it. It's a bevel or a chamfer? It's a chamfer. I want to bevel. There we go. And then select this one and start beveling it and just click here to copy the size of it, okay? Now I got two pieces. Now what we're going to do, we're going to create this cut in the middle, okay? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to create a plane here. Move it to the front, patch it, and I'm going to create a construction plane. Pressing space, sorry, and I'm going to actually nuke this curve and hide this plane with H. Hide this plane with H, and now we're going to try to do this again. So grab the curve, and let's see now. Now it's working. Okay, and let's just move it somewhere here. And then C, click and right click, okay? And then delete that. Now with H, we can delete this plane. And we can also hide the curves again, alright? So now we can select this edge here and bevel it, right? And then select this edge and bevel it and click here to get the same size of bevel, and you're good to go. There is I don't know if you can see that, but there is kind of like a pattern on this model here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's a little bit more advanced, but it's really easy. So it's going to take a bit of time though. So what we need to do is we need to create a curve first, which cuts this shape across like this, right? And then what we need to do is we need to grab this curve and radius on x-axis multiple times. Let's say 20 times. Okay, more than 20. Let's say 30 times. Let's say that this is actually, let's go with 35. Okay. All right. And then what you need to do is you need to grab this curve here. So this one, right? I mean this edge. Shift D that, and we're gonna press O for offset, and we're gonna offset this edge. Press Alt Z to see that, and we can offset it up here like that. Okay, and bring it to the front. Okay, and you can nuke this curve. And what we're gonna do now is we need to cut all these curves, yeah, all of them. And unfortunately, you have to do it manually. So By the way, why are we missing one curve here? Hang on. There we go. Select the curve you want to cut, press Ctrl C, and then select the cutter and right click, and then you can delete this curve you don't need. And you need to do this with all of these, okay? So let's just move these to the front so you can see them a little bit better, right? And unfortunately, I don't think you can select all of them and cut them at once. If I select 2 of them here, and or 3 and press Ctrl C, and then select the cutter and cut it, it's gonna cut only one, and I can't really select multiple to cut, which is unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to do this manually, and I'll be back when I'm finished with all these, okay? So once you finish cutting them, you should have something like this, and of course we need to still cut them here in the front. So you could run another cut in the front here like that, straight up, and then you're gonna have to cut them from this side. Okay, and once you're done, just delete that, and you don't need it. So now you're gonna have to select all of these. So select all the curves. Probably can select them from the bottom here like that. All right, and then we need to imprint them. So Shift I, right, and imprint them on this body, okay, and right click, and this should work across the entire shape. All right, now we don't really need these curves, right? So we can nuke them, or just Ctrl G and move them to another group, okay? So let's say cuts, all right, and we're gonna hide them. You don't want to do this again, do you know what I mean? So now we have all these lines here. We're gonna have to select them manually with Shift and Alt, okay? So just select all these. I've actually got all of them, and then you're gonna press Shift D to create curves, right, on top of this. Now, with all these curves selected, what we're gonna do is we're gonna press P for pipe. Now we need to choose the size of it. It's gonna be really small. So here, type something like 0.2, something like that, tiny one, right? And all you need to do is just boolean this, right? So what you're gonna do, right, is select this pipe here, press Q, then Shift select all these pipes, right, and right click, and this should create cuts on your mesh like that, okay? And then you can confirm. Now we don't need all these curves, yeah, so we can just delete them. And you're gonna be left with this. And if you want to, you could run bevels on them, but honestly, we can do this with materials in Blender, okay? And making buttons on the top is super easy. All you do basically is create 2 cuts. So just grab circles, one here and one here. And then you can select them both. And then you can patch them and press 3 for faces, right? And we're going to do something like this. Press B. And then right click, and then G, Z, drop them down. We don't need these curves anymore, right? So now we can bevel them like this, right? And then we can select faces here with 3, press O to scale them, to inset them, I mean. And then we can Shift D this a little bit higher like that. And select these 2 faces and simply extrude them, so E to extrude them, right, like that. You can just grab bevel here, like that, and a fillet, and you could just scale this to something like this, right, and I think it's gonna work. And you're just gonna drop it down, right, here, and simply scale it a little bit. And we can just QQ that. Let's just nuke this one and nuke this one. I'm gonna simply move it. So Shift D. So in order to move this, right, I'm gonna press GY, move it in here, and then V for this point, again Y, and hold Control and snap it here to the middle, okay? Like that, okay? And it's in the same height now. So now you can just basically combine them. So select both of them, QQ. There you go, select this and this, QQ, and you got buttons right on top. Very easy, okay? And these are actually a little bit more recessed, so we can just drop them down a bit. So G and drop them down somewhere here like that. And you're good to go. And that's about it. And if you go to Blender now, you can see that, everything in Blender should be should be loaded. So let's refresh this, and there we go. And you have your model. So if you go to, render view now, you can very easily texture it. So just plain. I'm gonna be using Material Works to texture this because reasons. So here, let's go to Material Works, and let's go to Plastics, and select maybe matter of plastic for the front. And then we're going to change the scale because it's a little bit too large. So let's just go to transform, and just change the scale to something like 3 or 4. There you go. This one could be, actually white could be interesting too. Yeah, that is fine. Let's just increase the scale a bit. And this one could be rubber, so go here and go to rubber and synthetic rubber. I'm gonna make it less dark, so color, and just not as black. There you go. Right, and this one could be could also be rubber. So select all these. Let's go here. Let's press Alt Z for X remote, and just Control J everything here, so it's one mesh. Okay, and I think we're gonna apply the same matte here, so let's enjoy ourselves. So just simply copy that. It's gonna be rubber. You can make it a bit darker if you want to. You could even separate this part here in Plasticity, or maybe you can try to do this in Blender. So let's grab box cutter, and I think it was on the edge or something. It's okay. Let's grab that and press E to cut it, and press X for slice. You can grab this piece, select maybe this one, and copy matte. You don't even have to, this one is a bit too shiny. I think this one's going to be better. You don't even have to, add bevels, because you can do it with Material Works. Simply click on the bevel, and it's going to add one. Same here, just add a bevel. And it's going to add bevel to these, and you can increase the samples here. And also here, we could run a bevel on this, just with hard ups. Let's just go to local view. Oh, it's the open face, that's why. So let's select this one and go to edge mode and connect this with a face, and then Alt X to the other side. There we go, and now we got a bevel, so now it's fine. And then let's go back, and the same here. You're probably gonna need a face here, so just go to edge mode. It's gonna be easier to do it in just apply the boolean. It's gonna be easier to do it in in Plasticity, because you're gonna have some really terrible geometry here, because that's what Plasticity is gonna give you. Press F and then Alt X, right? And it should be good to go. So you got this separation here, and these two buttons could be rubber as well, right? And then here we can have glass on the front. So go to glass, and glass, and here to glass. You're gonna have to remove the alpha to lower value, and just copy that. The new Material Works supports HDRI, so if I don't have this new version loaded in, but you can actually adjust HDRI from the add-on right now. So you can also have a choice of six files, 6 maps, light maps from Alex Central, so you can use them if you want to. Well, that's it for this video, guys. You can see that it's really quickly and easily you can create some awesome models in Plasticity, bring them to Blender. You can use our add-on to texture it in seconds, and in an hour of time you can have a fantastic model for your portfolio. You can adjust it in Blender, you can slice it, do whatever the hell you want, and honestly, if you don't care about the mesh, it's a fantastic way of working. This could actually kill sub D other than retopologizing, because if you want to retopologize this, you can. Then you can use the higher poly to bake it onto low poly and you're good to go. This is already triangulated, so if you bring it to a marmoset, it should work flawlessly. So, there you go. And all you need is a low poly, which, like I said, you can retopologize in Blender and you get yourself a game asset. So easy peasy, Japanesey, right? And if you want more tweets on plasticity, let me know. I don't mind creating more of them. It's a lot of fun. So let me know in comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.